Hi guys, welcome to another edition of the Objective Football Banter Show. I'm your host, Twizy. On this episode, we'll be discussing the events that played out over the last weekend in top 5 leagues in Europe. Starting, of course, with the usual suspects, the Premier League. Manchester City ran away 1-0 winners away at Crystal Palace. They really had to dig in to get that win. It wasn't a really impressive performance. I think Erling Haaland, getting the goal, eventually it was going to come, because of the way they were playing. They really weren't impressive, as you would expect. You consider that they are going to be playing the Champions League in a couple of days, so definitely some players will be rested and performance will not be at the highest levels, of course. 1-0 winners against Crystal Palace, who have been really poor in the last 3 or 4 games. I think they've become the first team in Premier League history to play 3 straight Premier League games without having a single shot on target. I don't even think they even attempted any shot. Not a single shot. They've not had a shot on target in 270 minutes of Premier League football. That's astonishingly bad. That's really bad. And Patrick Vieira needs to do something to his squad. He signed Odsonne-Edouard. I don't think he signed Odsonne-Edouard. I think Odsonne-Edouard arrived for him, but was lighting up the Scottish League, and everybody expected him to really perform when he came to Crystal Palace. And he's just fizzled out. Wilfred Zaha has not been consistent, as usual, and Jordan is not also playing very well. I think they need a few reinforcements here and there. I think they are well stocked in the defensive and midfield phase. Michael Olise and Eberiche, I think those are very exciting footballers who need a proper striker to work with. I think Crystal Palace need a very good striker, and they will be up there next season. I think they will do very well. Not up obviously in Europe. They are not far off from qualifying for Europe, of course, but I think that if they can get a very good striker, they will play very well. Manchester United had a 0-0 draw at home to Southampton. That was a result no one expected. Considering that they were just coming back, from drinking 7-Up last week at Anfield. After those cold bottles of 7-Up that they drank last week, you would expect that they will be, it will have refreshed them enough to know what's really, in front of them. But against Southampton, they seem to falter. Casemiro getting another red card, I think his second of the season, which is funny because Granit Xhaka has had 2 red cards in the last maybe 4 or 5 years at Arsenal in the Premier League. He's reputable, he has this reputation for being rough and being rash and all that. Granit Xhaka has had 2 red cards in about 3 or 4 5 seasons for Arsenal. Casemiro has 2 in 1 season in less than 9 months, and it's quite telling. He will miss the next 4 domestic games in Premier League, of course, along with the FA Cup and all other tournaments that are domestic in the Premier League. And I think it will be a big blow to Manchester United because McTominay is just not the level, I'm afraid. Downgrading from Casemiro to McTominay is horrible.
Emotional, damn it!
McTominay has never been a player that I really rate to be a top central defensive midfielder. I don't think he has it. Full of a lot of passion and a lot of excitement, but he really doesn't get the basics, and it will be very hard for Manchester United to cope without Casemiro. But we'll see how that plays out. The next 4 games, I think they don't really play really strong opposition in the next 4 games. Let's see if they can weather it. It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. I expect that for a team that are been calling themselves title contenders.
Are you playing? What type of playing is this?
I remember when they played against Arsenal, they had beaten City 2-1, and they were saying, Man U fans were chatting a lot of stuff that, Arsenal fans should not think that they are dragging with Manchester City. They're actually coming for the title. And that was really impressive. I was very confident to say that they were coming for the title. As at yesterday, though, they are 16 points behind Arsenal, who are basically just playing for to qualify for the Champions League. Arsenal are just trying to qualify for the Champions League. Manchester United are, steady, title favourites along with Manchester City. They are 16 points behind though, but they are title favourites. Let's just take it like that. Well, I think Manchester United have themselves to blame. They really didn't take their chances, and Casemiro should have been a little bit cautious in the way he was playing his football. Flying into tackles, we get that, the Premier League is a very rough place. The league is very hard. Yeah, we get. But that doesn't mean you should be very enthusiastic and be flying into tackles. Let's jump like Antidote with his 2 legs and that. And you want to break somebody's leg.
Money.
Anyway, you have 4 games to rest and think about your life. Speaking of Premier League and how it humbles you, Liverpool, can you believe it? Liverpool now is scoring goals for fun against Manchester United last week.
I will send you to Jesus.
Went to one of the bottom place teams in the south coast of England and lost by a goal to nil. to Bournemouth. Bournemouth, yeah, the same ones that almost sunk Arsenal, but it's Arsenal. We came back and we did the business. Mohamed Salah even getting the penalty, missed the penalty. Liverpool just couldn't get in the game. It was a really horrible way to play. They were struggling most of the time. Bournemouth, took advantage of the high line that Liverpool were playing, and with Ouattara on the right side and Billings on the left with Solanke in the middle, they were able to really hurt, Liverpool. Liverpool really, for all their attacking firepower, just couldn't pull it off, I'm afraid. And nobody knows where they really are heading to now, considering that Newcastle won their game against Wolverhampton, so Liverpool dropped back to sixth position. You would want to argue that they were saving players for Real Madrid's second leg Champions League that is coming up in the week. But I don't know why that is. Because they lost 5-2. It was a 7-goal game, in the first leg at Anfield that they lost. Manchester United fans, I know that whenever I hear the word 7, you guys always say, what is always shaking? I'm not talking about you. I'm actually talking about Liverpool's loss. 7-goal thriller. It wasn't like they beat you 7. I know the whole number 7 makes you... 7 goals. They were leading by 2 goals to nil. Real Madrid came, got 5 goals, and then they won by 5 goals to 2. So 7-goal thriller. So I don't understand what Liverpool are trying to go and do at the Santiago Bernabeu, because that's the real explanation, I think, for that tepid performance. They really looked off. They didn't look like they were ready to play. And Bournemouth looked like they wanted it more. They showed more desire. They were running full throttle 90 minutes, and they duly got their 1-0 win. Let's see how they play out over the week. Let's see how Liverpool copes. I don't see Liverpool getting a win at the Santiago Bernabeu. Real Madrid should crush them, so let's see what that is all about. Liverpool, for all the goals that they scored against Manchester United, couldn't replicate it against a team like Bournemouth, and which is why the Premier League is such an interesting league. You'll be high and flying high in 1 week, and the next week you'll be brought down back to earth. Maybe Liverpool shouldn't have scored 7 goals against Manchester United. Maybe they should have scored like 3 and kept the remaining 4, so they can score the remaining 4 when they get to play another team. But then they went ahead and they went to score 7 against Man U. Now score 1 against Bournemouth. You cannot.
I mean, at this point, one would think this is a skit.
Liverpool fans, let me know in the comments what really happened against Bournemouth, and I'll be glad to respond to your comments. Arsenal went, to Fulham. It was a game that most people dubbed to be banana peel. It didn't look like a game that Arsenal comfortably play well, considering that they had some players out with injuries and all manner of issues that they were battling with. But they came away with 3 new winners, and in all fairness, they should have scored at least 6 to 7 goals, especially in the first half. They were profligate, they were really serious, and which really spoke to testament of how good the squad has been this season. Beating Fulham away from home by 3 goals to nil, and playing not at full gear. They were very slow in the game, but they still dominated, which was really interesting. I think for the entire first half, Fulham didn't touch the ball in Arsenal's box, which is really impressive. Arsenal have had a lot of dominant 45 minutes this season. I remember the one against Brentford away from home. That was a classic performance. The game away to Leicester too, classic performance, and also against Fulham was a very good performance. And I think that the way they are playing, they might need to just keep playing that way against the smaller teams. You don't see them beating Manchester City away. They might get a drop from Liverpool away. I think they will beat Chelsea at home, but Chelsea fans, I know you guys are pissed by that, but that's just what it is. I think Arsenal are beginning to slowly look like the team to beat. They look like the team that could run away with the league title this season. But all that depends on what happens with the remaining, maybe the next 4 or 5 games. I think in the next 4 or 5 games, we get a good glimpse of what the title run is going to be like. Except, of course, go down to the wire, which is going to end on the final day, just like we had last season. Tottenham ran out 1-0 winners against Nottingham Forest, and it was a very good performance overall. Although it wasn't very good for Richarlison, the starting striker for the Brazilian national team still couldn't score again. Funny thing is, against Nottingham Forest away, he scored a goal. I think he pulled his jersey. It was really like a dog that discovered that he had 2 penises, and he was just running all over the place, and the goal was ruled off for offside. Now, that was like, a dampener and made him feel really bad. And he had complained recently that he had not been playing a lot of games, and he thought that he should be given more opportunities to play. And Conte really rewarded him with a start against Nottingham Forest. Again against Nottingham Forest, he scored again, celebrated, told the opposition fans to shush their mouth. I mean, celebration was just as usual. And then the VAR ruled it was offside. Richarlison can't catch a break. Richarlison is really struggling. I don't know if he will make the Selecao the next time they will select players. I don't know if he will make the national team. Really had a very terrible time playing for Tottenham. He's not been able to get a goal. I think he's got 1 or 2 assists, but he's yet to get a goal. I mean, strikers love to score goals. If you are number 9 for Brazil and you are the starting striker for the national team as formidable and as fearsome as Brazil, you should be scoring regularly in your league, no? Yeah, you should, but he's been unable to do so. I personally think that when Harry Kane got the penalty for I think the second or third goal, he should have let Richarlison play it, just to give him some confidence, just to, give him some excitement. But again, Harry Kane too is chasing his goal records, trying to score as many goals as possible, trying to make himself, completely uncatchable, that Tottenham goal ranking. So I really feel for Richarlison. He may have to leave the club though. I don't think he's enjoying himself at the club. I mean, to play almost an entire season now and he's yet to score a league goal, and you are bought for £60 million. Bro, that's tough, bro. That's very tough. We'll see how that plays out though at the end of the season. Perhaps maybe on the final day of the season, he could score a hat-trick against maybe Bournemouth, which is funny because Bournemouth don't they beat people these days. Would you look at that? Who would believe that Bournemouth beat Liverpool? Almost beat Arsenal too. Yeah, boy, I mean, that's tough. Chelsea are winning though. Chelsea are winning. People should be careful. Everybody should be careful with Chelsea. Chelsea are back. Chelsea beats Leicester by 3-1. I think they should have won by 5-1, to be honest. Leicester played very well in the first half. Patson Daka with a very good goal from outside the box. A very good chance for them to score another one. Iheanacho, troubled that defense a little. Wesley Fofana didn't look troubled coming back to Leicester. Almost had a goal scored too himself, and I think that they are beginning to find their feet again. I still don't think that against the really strong teams, I don't think they will be able to survive. I don't think that Chelsea will be able to play against a team like Manchester City, Arsenal. No, I'm not biased. Manchester City, Arsenal, PSG. I don't think Chelsea have the minerals yet. I think they can play against teams of equal standing, but I just don't think they have it yet. They still need to get that number 9, next season, and I'll really start to fear them. But it's been impressive. Back-to-back wins, consecutive wins for the 3rd game in a row, beating Leicester away from home 3-1. Great assist by Enzo Fernandez, the way he chipped the ball for Kai Havertz just at the end of the first half. I really like that goal. It was really, professional. Enzo Fernandez has really played very well, to be honest, since he arrived. I like the way he has performed. He's looked like a leader. He's always progressed the ball. He's always finding his teammates, always trying to score. So it's been really cool to see him play that way. I think that the team just needs to play together for a while, a pre-season or 2, and then a striker. I think Chelsea are going to be competing again next season. Before I go to talk about other leagues, I would like to pick a player that I really liked over the weekend. I think Trossard for Arsenal played excellently well. He was my favorite player over the weekend. I liked his performance. 3 assists in the first half, becoming the first player in Premier League history to score a hat-trick and give a hat-trick of assists in the same season. He also the first player to give 3 assists in an away game in the first half of Premier League in history. It was a very professional performance. He kept finding his teammates. He will have scored 2 goals himself. I think the way he played, he really looked solid, and he's beginning to look like a very smart acquisition for Arsenal in January transfer window. He's looking like a player that will really come in handy in the last maybe 5 or 6 games of this season. Remember, there are like 12 league games to go, and if should Arsenal go as far as playing very well in the Europa League and getting to the finals, they'll have more games to play, of course. So they need to keep all their players fresh. Speaking of fresh players, Gabriel Jesus has returned for Arsenal. Yeah, Gabriel Jesus is back. Played very well, won the ball on 3 occasions, had created 1 big chance, missed 1 big chance, all in 15 minutes. And it just tells you how really formidable Arsenal are at the moment. Emile Smith-Rowe on the bench. They had Fabio Vieira on the bench, they had Gabriel Jesus on the bench, they had Kiratini on the bench, and Tomiyasu was on the bench as well, which is a very formidable bench if you ask me. I think that's the kind of bench you want to have when you are playing in the Premier League and you have 11-12 games to go and you are competing in the Europa League. International break will come after the next game week, of course, which Arsenal plays, at home to Crystal Palace. Manchester City will be playing Burnley in the FA Cup, so obviously they will have a game in hand. And Arsenal will have a chance to go 8 points clear to Manchester City. Manchester City will be coming back from international break, obviously, to play Liverpool. That's a very interesting game right there that everybody will be looking forward to. So it will be interesting to see how those games will play out, and we would like to see how the league, will shape up when the international break is over. Speaking about other leagues, Bayern Munich and Dortmund. Bayern Munich ran out winners against Augsburg, they had to come from behind to win the game. Dortmund, played 2-2 draw with Schalke 04, and they lost 2 points, meaning they are now on 50 points, while Bayern Munich are on 52 points. So there's a 2-point gap there. Union Berlin don't look like they are really going to be competing anymore. In the next 1 or 2 games, they may be distracted with the Europa League competition that they are in and all of that. So I think that it's going to be between Bayern Munich and Dortmund, although Dortmund have now thrown away 2 points and Bayern Munich are leading. 2 points is quite slim. Anything can still happen, and it looks like this year the German league is more competitive than it used to be, which is impressive. So we'll see how that plays out. In La Liga, Barcelona, who have recently been accused of fraud, of bribing referees over the last couple of years to win games, played out a 1-0 win against Athletic Bilbao. Athletic Bilbao fans threw fake dollar notes on the pitch as a way of protest against what Barcelona have been doing over the years. Xavi didn't feel impressed. He was not happy with the way things played out, but you have to explain why, you have that kind of situation. It's Barcelona. Juventus are always having issues with fraud and crime and drugs, and now Barcelona to suddenly begin to fall into that. Bribing referees, that's just not impressive. They've been charged with that. They have not responded yet to those charges, but I think that we'll be seeing them, trying to defend their case in courts. It's a very, embarrassing charge against a club of Barcelona stature, of course. I remember they're a very strong side. They've fielded the likes of Lionel Messi, Fabregas, Neymar, great players, Luis Suarez, who have all played and won titles. But all that is about to be tainted by the allegations of, bribing referees, and it will be a really difficult thing for Barcelona to, wash away, considering that, all the years of good football that they've given to football fans all over the world, and all that's about to go to the drain if they are found guilty, of course. We'll be keeping you updated on whatever happens with the cases, and we'll let you know when it plays out. In the Italian league, Napoli with another routine win, and Juventus coming back, to win. They were winning by 2-0. They had 2-2 draw and against Sampdoria, but they eventually came back and won the game by 4-2. So interesting game there, and we'll see how that plays out at the end. Thank you very much for all your comments and your likes. Remember to please like, share, and subscribe to our page. We'd like you to keep watching our show and telling everyone about what we do here at the Objective Football Banter Show. Peace and love.